Do more by doing less. With me, Charles Alexander, for small business owners, startups, and busy folks.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
Look, I am the king of overthinking. It's not what you think, though. If there is a significant, important decision to be made, I'm your go-to person. I was recently telling my father-in-law, Pawpaw as we call him, that if the time ever came that we needed to make a decision about his life, give me the power of attorney, because I'm the guy that will tell the doctor to pull the plug. He laughed about it, but then I did say, that's a big decision. I can handle that. The little one, though, like if they ask me what color coffin to put you in, brother, I'm not it. I'm the wrong guy for you. I can make big decisions all day long. I can make the decisions on if we need to, purchase something major for the home, what car to get, where we're going to go vacation, where we're going to go to college. Easy decisions. What big project we're going to take on. Netflix trailers and the peanut butter aisle stump me. I can stand there and stare at both of those for hours and never pull the trigger and make a decision. This makes me think back years ago, our very first home. We didn't have kids, didn't really have the quote unquote distraction device of the phone in our pocket. Wasn't any sports on TV, but it was Saturday, and Sarah had decided it was errand running day, invited me. I should have been a better husband and went, but man, she was telling me about all the fun things she was going to go do, like going to Target, looking at silver picture frames, Bed Bath Beyond. I don't know if we'll have time. Will Ferrell said. So, no, babe, I'm just going to hang out here and work on a honeydew project, which really didn't exist. So I had this wild notion at that point. It's like, man, thinking about the future, I really would like to have the option to retire at 50. Now, why that had popped in my head at that time, I don't know. I think we had just really started our lives out and started working, and I thought, this working for everything isn't for me. 50 seemed so far away. It's dangerously close now. But I thought I can do it. I can retire by 50. Well, how will I do that? I went to the desktop computer we have in this Dell monitor, which weighed, 782 pounds. It sat on a little fragile desk, and I got out a spreadsheet and I started mapping it out. I planned for the next 20 plus years. Well, how would we do this? I know what I make at my current gig. I know what she makes. You add the math to it. You start planning out things like retirement. I start figuring out, well, how else can we make money? Back then, I hadn't thought about selling explainer videos or offering additional coaching programs like I have now. Sure didn't think about how much kids would cost. They're expensive, by the way. But I did think, what? We could buy rentals. I know a lot of other people that aren't nearly as smart as we have that have bought rentals. So I did the math. Did it. How much would we need money-wise to retire at 50? Put the numbers there. Figured out if you're only drawing 4 or 5% off of it, what you could do, or better yet, what if you had your house paid off? What if you had all the rentals paid off? Could you do the math at that point? What could you draw each month to safely retire on that you could still pay all your bills, especially assuming you didn't have any other debt? Oh, I figured it out. It was awesome. In 3 years, we'll have saved enough money to make a first down payment on a first rental. And here's what the monthly mortgage would be, and this is what the average going rate is for rentals. I've done all the research at this point. Great. It would cash flow. Then over a period of time, whatever it would be, 5 years, 6 years later, you'd have enough for a next deposit on a home or down payment. And then it would cash flow. And then you could do it all the way out on 15-year notes. And pretty soon I'd worked backwards all the way to where I don't remember what it was, 4 or 5 homes would be paid off at that point. And I really thought, man, this is it. I've cracked the code. And as silly as it sounds, it would have been very doable. And I forgot all about it. We never did quite pull the trigger. I talked about it forever and overthought it, but never really started doing it. It's just one of those things that I couldn't quite do. Should have. Especially I was bragging about being able to make big decisions, and that was one. So anyways, I'm cleaning up my Google Drive here recently. And I came across that spreadsheet. I thought, oh man, I forgot all about this. And I can tell you what I had. It wasn't nostalgia so much as like a little bit of regret. dude, I'm very close to 50. I could have done the thing on this spreadsheet. Wouldn't have been perfect, but I could have done it. That overthinking means that even though we're in not fine, we're in great shape. We not to brag, but we've done a lot of the right things the right way, but I can't quit at 50 at this point. I could have if I'd have done that. That overthinking stopped me. Overthinking doesn't just affect our personal lives. It affects our business, whatever we're doing in order to get the items in our life that we want and fewer of the things that we don't, to do more by doing less. I think back to some of these other businesses that I've worked with. I'll give you a few examples. We'll go from a startup to an existing business to somebody who wanted to do more by doing less, who wanted to save time. But startup's easy to understand. I worked with a few years ago, this person wanted to start a coffee shop. And she was in a rural area, and they had grown to such a point where they could honestly sustain a coffee shop. Look, she wanted to get this thing going, but she never could quite get over the overthinking piece of it. She had this most comprehensive business plan. Oh my gosh, charts, graphs. She had the Tennessee Department of Transportation numbers for how many people passed by the business or the shop. Got over fixated on the logo, the little details of what the site would be, or what kind of not cappuccino machine that she would get. And overthought and got paralyzed and never started it. Somebody else did. She was not happy. Had another business owner years ago, a locksmith. Now, granted, locksmith isn't the most super complicated thing on planet Earth. You really only need a couple of things. To know how to need a functional vehicle, and you need the equipment to change locks. And then this is one where a website is honestly important. And so many people, I will tell them, don't overthink your website. You want it to be, and I know graphic designers and website developers are just dying as I say this, but sometimes you just need like 4 or 5 good pages with testimonials and whatever else. But as a locksmith, if I am locked out of my house or locked out of my car, I immediately go to the Google. I will pull up whoever has the best reviews. Then I'll quickly take a quick peek at their site if need be. This dude had a site that looked like it was developed for Netscape 1.0. It was bad. It had all of those old graphics that you remember were like little spinning calendars and the widgets that would pop in. It was bright blue with black text and unreadable. So I said, hey man, we got to get this thing updated. I think it's honestly costing you money. Okay, well, let's do that. Couldn't figure out should it be Squarespace, Wix, WordPress. Well, who to outsource it to? Well, what should it say? Well, it's really important. If I want to do it right, I'm going to do it right the first time. And you don't rush these sort of things. Go to his website now. This was 10 years ago and it was outdated. It's still the same thing and it's still costing him money. Most importantly, I worked with a consultant client of mine. Had done really well, had several successful programs, and now it was time to reap the rewards. He wanted to spend more time with family, his church, his friends, wanted to travel, but he had to make sure he was also a perfectionist. Wanted to have all of the to-dos taken care of, every single solitary item. I mean, all the way down from making sure that every spot was taken care of for the existing clients, making sure that the email out of office was termed just right so nobody would be offended. Made sure that his presence would never be lost on LinkedIn or Facebook. It just, he overthought, said, Charles, we got to do it right now. Okay. Fast forward a year later, it still never got all the items on his to-do list scheduled out, checked off, taken care of. When we had that conversation, like he kept trying to tell me he wanted it to be done right. So, well, in doing it right, you were going to take off 2 months, and he could, but he didn't. Those 2 months, they don't come back. And you could see it in his face. He was overthinking and wouldn't start doing. So for us, you want to do more by doing less, you've got to do, let's say, 3 things here. Make it real simple. First and foremost, pick a worthwhile goal, an achievable goal, a smart goal. So for me, I wanted to write a book. I wanted to start a podcast. I've done both. And forever, I overthought them. This podcast should be multiple years old. I should be publishing my second book now, but I couldn't get myself completely moved forward on. So What did you have to do for this podcast? I finally just had to pull the trigger and do some things I was uncomfortable with, even though I didn't know all of the processes and procedures. I started scheduling guests before I ever had the thing together because I knew they would push me forward. I started throwing together topics. You can take a look at the first 4 or 5. They don't really match do more by doing less, but I knew how to speak on those topics. I knew how to get the ball rolling. That's it. Picked a worthwhile goal, picked 2 or 3 tasks that would force me to move forward. And then lastly, I just had to be patient and be willing to be very uncomfortable. If you can find comfort in the discomfort, you will become more comfortable and you'll start doing more of the things that you have been thinking about but not doing. One of the big things I think that really holds us back when we do any of this, it does me sometimes, is that we think everybody else is watching us and they're going to see that we fail. They're going to see that we're not doing well. Look, man, people are not really watching. I know we tell our kids all the time that we're watching them and God is watching them. God's watching them and we're only keeping an eye on them about half the time. People are not really paying you that much attention. Get over that as a myth and an issue. Dale Carnegie once pointed out that people are thinking about themselves morning, noon, and at dinner. Reflecting on my own personal experience of having missed out on the opportunity to retire by 50, but I never quite was able to get it going. I never quite pulled the trigger. I overanalyzed all of it. And I've learned a valuable lesson since, and I'm glad I started the podcast, and I hope I'm actually not the one who has to decide whether or not to pull the plug on Paw. He's healthy, by the way. He's fine. Don't take off just yet. I've created a new program just for you, helping overworked entrepreneurs create their very own 4-day work week in 90 days or less. Look, if you'd rather spend more time with family, friends, traveling, exercising, having the time to do what you want instead of, putting out never-ending fires, tackling another to-do list, and checking email at 9 p.m., then go to my website, yourcharlesalexander.com. If you've created the income you want but don't have the time freedom you deserve, then this is for you. And as always, if you don't, an angel may actually lose its wings. True story. Have a great day.